Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla, and for today's TikTok Tuesday, we're going to be talking about the cost of weddings. In a recent video, I shared that I'm now engaged, which is very exciting. I appreciate all of the congratulations. Thank you all so much. The support is amazing. All of the love is amazing. Thank you genuinely. And obviously, following an engagement comes getting married and potentially having a wedding. Now, as for myself and my fiance now, which still feels weird to say, we do not want a big wedding. That's actually, I never have wanted a big wedding, like having extended family who they don't even, like I haven't talked to them in years or they don't even know us as a couple. Like I have no interest in doing that. And my fiance and I, even when we were just boyfriend and girlfriend, we talked about marriage very often. Like we've been together for 8 years. So I knew that eventually I would marry him. So we had talked about like what we would want. And I always said like, I really just want to go to the courthouse and not worry about a wedding whatsoever. And what's interesting is as soon as we got engaged, the pressure was on basically immediately from a couple of family members, which I think is just a bit frustrating. Just a lot of pressure to, have a wedding or some sort of celebration. And when is it going to happen? You need to start planning this, that, and the other. They have these like expectations. And I hated that came immediately. Like it just felt annoying, And I don't want to feel that way in a happy moment of my life. And I think this is why, I've seen others plan weddings and I see how stressful it gets. And now I completely understand because I think the main thing really is the finances, the financial side of it, because things are really expensive with weddings. We're going to, watch a few TikToks and see what that looks like. But also just the pressure from family, depending on who they are. And it should be a good time. And it doesn't seem to always be a good time. As far as our plans go for getting married and how we plan on celebrating that, I will absolutely be documenting that, as in sharing how much things are going to cost and kind of the timeline around that. I know that as of right now, we will not be having a wedding, like a full-on wedding ceremony. We both have no interest in that. So what we want to do, and honestly, if it were just up to us, we would probably just go to the courthouse and call it a day, not have any sort of celebration. I think the idea of a celebration is really fun and it's something that I've wanted, but now that I've like just barely touched the surface of planning it, it just feels more feels more stressful than exciting. Like it is still something exciting, but anyways, I'm jumping the gun here. So yeah, if it was just up to us, we would probably just go to the courthouse, get married, and spend thousands of dollars on a honeymoon or just, future travel, because that's what we do anyway. However, we will likely have a wedding party. So we're probably going to get married at the courthouse and just, spend a couple $100s on that in and of itself. And then at some point have just a little celebration. So there's not going to be like, do you, Layla, take Bella? There's not going to be any of that. You're not going to be seeing us standing at the, center stage, anything like that. I just really want a venue with some catered food, some good food, and a DJ so we can have all our favorite music, and then like dessert and other food for people to pick off. And obviously with all of that, you need tables, chairs, that type of thing, decorations. I don't really care for flowers. So what I'm thinking is a budget of like max $8,000. Even better if we could get it under $7,000, but this is really just going to be a party to celebrate our marriage whenever that is. So for these TikToks that I'm about to go through, I haven't picked any. I just searched wedding cost breakdown. So I'm going to click through these and I'm only going to keep the ones in the video that are from 2025 or 2024, since the cost of things are changing pretty quickly these days. So those are the ones I'm going to keep in. And if I don't see any that talk about like a budget wedding party or just a budget wedding, I'm going to also search that. So I'm going to go through a few, react to them, give my thoughts on them. And then if all of these are, expensive and way over the top, then I'm going to do a specific search for budget weddings, because I think that's really interesting. Personally, I cannot imagine dropping more than 10K on all of this. Like that's a lot of money for for one day. And I get that people want to go big, they want to celebrate. I love that. I love that they want to celebrate love, but just imagine what you can do with 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, 60K, because some of these I'm already seeing, like that amount. That's a lot of money. It's a down payment on a house. That is multiple vacations or 1 or 2 really large luxury vacations. Obviously, everybody can make their own decisions as a couple and what they want to do. But I think, unfortunately, a lot of people go, they start their marriage with financial hardship by having this wedding celebration. I'm sure a ton of people save money up for it, and maybe they don't have much debt going into marriage, or they have family support and that type of thing, but that's not something that we have. Like, I don't know who would pay $10, $20, $30,000 to support that. So in my opinion, going into a marriage with, 50K just from one day is really scary and can potentially cause some problems. But yeah, let's just go through these and see what we come across. And of course, please comment down below what you spent on your wedding. I would love, the more detail, the better. Like if it was a budget wedding, if it was expensive, whatever it was, I would love to hear it. And maybe why you chose to do that and if it was worth it, that type of thing. And if you had a budget wedding or if that's something you're planning, I would love to see the breakdown of that if you're comfortable with sharing. So let's go.
In the spirit of transparency, I'm going to go through my May 2026 wedding cost breakdown. Start off strong with the venue. This will be the cost if we do the add-ons that we are planning on adding on. So like champagne tower, late night snack, etc. And this is for around 175 people. It is costing $34,800. Our ceremony is actually going to be in our backyard, but I did hire a company to do decor and bench rentals and all that good stuff. So that right now is quoted at $3,500, although she did come the other day and we talked, and there's probably going to be some more stuff we're adding. So that will likely increase. I'm doing decor for the reception through the same company, and they quoted me $2,300 for that. I'm doing very minimal flowers and a lot of candles. Our photographer comes with 2 photographers, and that is costing us $5,500. Our videographer is a different company. It's one guy, and he will do drone footage and all that good stuff. That costs $3,800. For the ceremony, we are having a violin quartet do all of the music. It will cost us $1,600, which is actually a really good price in my opinion. Our DJ for the reception will be costing $2,500. Transportation is rough. We have to pretty much transport everyone coming to our ceremony from downtown to our house and back in order to create a seamless guest experience, because that's really important to me. In order to do that, we have to get 2 28-person minibuses, a 44-person charter bus, and we have a 24-person party bus that will transport us all to and from. We have a smaller subsection of our guests coming to the ceremony, and then the larger group will be at the reception. That in total is costing $6,400. Hair and makeup, I did ask my bridesmaids and my mother-in-law and my mom if they want their hair and makeup done. Did not say it was mandatory at all. They have the choice. If they want, they can pay for it. Most of my bridesmaids said they wanted either one or both services done. So right now, the deposit was $500 and the remainder is $2,550 for all of us to get our hair and makeup, whoever said they wanted which, done. Finally, we had to get a large hotel room in a hotel nearby to do our bridal hair and makeup before the wedding, because we want to take pictures in the downtown area despite our ceremony being at our house. So we rented this really big hotel room in one of the nice hotels in the area, and that will be costing $1,600 for the 2 nights of the wedding, Friday night and Saturday night. Other costs on top of that I've not tracked because I just don't want to is invitation stuff. I'm making save the dates by myself, and I've put in some money into that, getting all the paper and the envelopes and the wax seal, all that stuff. So I'm not even going to consider that. And then any DIY decor that I do will also be there. I'm planning on personally paying for a lot of that stuff out of pocket, and we do have help from family, but it's a lot. Planning a wedding is a lot of money. So hopefully this makes you feel better about how much you're spending on your wedding.
I could cry listening to that. I don't know if y'all saw me, blinking back tears, because just imagining being in this situation. Obviously she's choosing to, sounds like I'm speechless. I don't even know. Somebody asked how are you affording this, and she said family mainly. So if you have that, if you know family members are willing to support that much and pay for things, I kind of want to watch this through and add it up. So I'm gonna do that. Y'all won't see that. I'll play it and come back. All right, I just watched that again, added everything up. Over $65,000. That does not include, she had mentioned like a couple of things would be increasing potentially. She mentioned at the end that some costs she didn't even track in here, like invitation, save the date, so on and so forth. Wow, $65,000. That is insane. Yeah, there's several of these things in here that I just, for me, not worth it at all. Hair, makeup. We're not having a traditional wedding ceremony or anything, so there wouldn't be like bridesmaids, that type of thing. So hair, makeup, unnecessary. Even for myself, I will happily do my own hair and makeup. I don't wear makeup on a regular basis, so even on when I'm celebrating my marriage, I don't want anything on my face. Like, I will just stick to what I basically always look like, with a little mascara and maybe some eyeshadow or something, and a little bit of coverage. But I'm doing that myself for sure. I don't want to pay for that. She didn't even say the cost of her dress. I'm assuming she already bought that. It sounds like this is a really expensive one, so it's probably gonna be at least $6,000 is what I'm guessing for her dress. For me personally, I'm gonna stick with something under like $200 because it's just a wedding party. I have no interest in going all out, none whatsoever. Okay, I'm gonna start this over. It has some music that I'll get copywritten on, so I'm going to kind of read it out. Price breakdown for our June 2025 wedding, because we need to talk about how crazy expensive they are. Okay. Venue, $7,000. DJ, $1,550. Is that normal? Photographer, $1,500. Install company, $2,000. Bridal makeup artist, $215. Day of coordinator, $2,000. Yeah, no thanks. Real florals, $225. Fake florals, $1,300. Baker, $250. It's not bad. My dress, $2,300. Still need to book videographer, $1,300. Floral preservation, rehearsal, live painting, hair, nails, security, honeymoon, booked but waiting for total, catering, bartender. Current total, $18,300. Yeah. Somebody said those are low prices too. You're doing good. I think the hard part is those services where it's like you want to pay a good quality photographer, videographer. I don't think we would need a photographer. I would want a videographer to put together like a video. It just depends on the rate. $1,300. I guess that's not bad. Like, I think that's a fair rate. It's just to add that into if we have a budget of $7,000, $8,000. Yeah, very interesting. Sounds like in total, though, they'll spend less than $40,000, I suppose. From what I've seen so far of like when I've just done the little bit of digging that I've done, $40,000 seems like the average, which is just still too much for me.
Here's my wedding cost breakdown sheet. I'm going to go through everything one by one and show you guys how much I spent on everything. So first, I'm going to start with my dress. I spent over $2,000 on this dress. I truthfully probably shouldn't have. I know that was a big purchase, but I actually kind of purchased this a couple months before I even got proposed to, because the bridal dress shop was closing, so they were having like a big sale. So it was actually a lot more money than that originally. But I knew I was going to get engaged too, so I was like, you know what, let's just do it. Whatever, get it a little bit on a discount, I guess. My venue, I actually got that half off, but it was still $5,713. That also includes, I also got like amenities, so I have like a horse-drawn carriage that's pulling me down the aisle. I paid half of that so far. I still have to pay the remaining. The food was $5,800, which is insanely good.
Honestly, why I'm getting such good deals on all these vendors is truthfully because I work in the field. I am the wedding sales manager at one of the venues, the venue I'm actually getting married at. So that's why it was originally double that price, but the owners gave us half off, which was super generous. The caterer as well gave us 30% off if we paid in full, and then he gave me another $500 off just for working at the venue. My desserts were for $400. Alcohol, I did not purchase my alcohol yet. That is one thing I do need to do. I still have about 3 months to the wedding date, so I'll get an update on that.
So we don't drink, and we will not be buying alcohol. My dad, though, he drinks, and like with the people who'd be coming, he drinks with them. So what I'm thinking is that we're gonna say, if you want to drink, you can bring the alcohol. Like that's what my dad can contribute, because I'm not gonna be buying alcohol when I don't care. Like you can survive a party without some alcohol. A lot of people in my life also, like the people I'd be inviting, don't drink heavily anyway, or like don't drink at all. So I don't want to spend on that. I'll absolutely have other drinks aside from, water, coffee, tea, and that stuff. Sodas, maybe some like other fun drinks, but not paying for alcohol.
Photography and videography, this was a complete package. It was a little over $3,400, which is absolutely amazing as well. This includes 4 people for 8 hours, so 2 videographers and 2 photographers. They have like a payment plan for that, so I owe $2,000 on that one. Yeah, the DJ was $1,500. Again, an amazing deal. He even gave us the photo booth and uplighting, which is really awesome, which is going to make the venue so much more fun, or reception, I should say, especially when we're all dancing and partying and stuff like that. That was valued at like $6,000 for all of that. So I literally almost like cried when he told me that, because that is an insane deal. Lodging, we got for free, again, because of the venue I work at. We got a Liberty Spring House, which is like a little honeymoon suite for the night of the wedding for me and my then husband. We also got a mansion that is also on property for the night of the wedding, and then for my family to stay it's the night before the wedding and then the night of the wedding. The night beforehand, it's big enough to even have a rehearsal dinner space in it, so that's what we're going to do in there. So that was all free. Next, I didn't obviously get my nails, my spray tan, my hair and makeup and all that stuff done quite yet, but I'm also going to update you on that. My florist was a little over $1,500. That includes my bouquet, boutonnieres for everybody, all of the bouquets for the bridesmaids, and they're also doing a little floral arrangement in front of the sweetheart table, and then on the staircase I asked them to do like this big greenery thing. However, that doesn't include centerpieces. I did buy like a floral heart shaped backdrop off of Etsy. It is a fake floral arrangement, but that was almost $1,000, but I think it's gonna be really, really cool. With that, I'm gonna hang like a neon sign up at reception that says our last names on it, and that was about $120. A bunch of this other stuff is truthfully just like decor, miscellaneous, like our, I should say, like stamps and invitations, save the dates, linens are on there, all that fun stuff. So those are just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. The next big thing, that $1,500, those were the centerpieces. I'm doing these like cherry blossom tree centerpieces, and then I'm going to hang like lights and stuff all over them, because that's kind of the theme, but those were pretty expensive, and I honestly might have to buy a couple more of those as well, which really sucks. Next is the honeymoon. The honeymoon I am currently a little over $5,000 for, which that is also on a payment plan like through them. That includes our flights, the resort stay, that is all inclusive. The only thing it does not include would be any other like excursions that we choose to book on, but that was a little over $5,000, which actually is pretty good. We're actually going to Aruba, so we're really, really excited about that, and I'm kind of hoping that'll be paid for once everybody comes to the wedding. So thanks, guys. My veil, also got this from the bridal dress shop that was closing. That was $73. I got like a little garter, some jewelry, fun stuff like that. And let me pull up the next page.
Okay, I don't know what the total is. Was it
closing? That was $73.
But yeah, you can see the breakdown. I see in the comments she said that this is 150 people coming. That seems really expensive for the food. Sounds like a good deal on the venue and stuff. And yeah, this is this list in and of itself is really overwhelming. Okay.
Let's be transparent about wedding costs. I'm going to break down everything we've spent on our wedding so far. We booked all our main vendors. We're about 50% of the way through our engagement. For some context, we're getting married in February of 2026 in North Central Florida. Also note, we invited 180 guests. I've got my notes here because I don't remember this all off the top of my head, but for rentals, which include the tent, tables, chairs, dance floor, lighting, everything from the rental company, because we're having it in my parents' backyard, is $7,900. The photographer is $4,500, our videographer is $3,200, and our content creator is $1,300. I also booked a month of coordinator who will coordinate timeline with all of the vendors the month leading up to the wedding and be there the day of the wedding, and she was $1,500. My dress was $2,515. My makeup is $175 for the day of, and my hair is $150 for the day of. We are getting a wood-fired pizza truck, which was $3,077, but we're also trying to book a taco truck as well, which will probably be around $2 to $3 grand. That's the only big vendor we haven't locked down yet. Our DJ was $2,250. Bartending company is $2,400. In Florida, we actually have to purchase the alcohol because they're a mobile bartending service. So they provide all the garnishes, and the bartenders and specialty cocktails will be on draft. I also splurged and got a specialty coffee cart. They're about $1,400. We booked After the Tone for our guest book, which we're really excited about. We got that on Black Friday sale for $281. I'm doing Something Borrowed blooms for all of our florals. Right now it's $1,427, but I do think I'm going to add on some more for some little extra touches. So that probably will end up being around $1,700. This one hurt a little bit, but because we're getting married in my parents' backyard, we did need to get executive air-conditioned bathrooms. So that is $750. And then the shuttle bus that will take everyone from the hotel block to the venue and back throughout the night was $1,400. That one hurt a little bit too. In terms of stationery, so far we've just done save the dates. So save the dates and postage for both was $150. I still have to get invitations, so that doesn't include our invitation cost yet. Altogether, with all the vendors we've booked so far, we are at $34,352. I don't consider us to have an extravagant wedding, and by any means, weddings are expensive.
I was laughing because the cat in the background, just like living the life back there, not having to worry about any of this. It's so funny. But yeah, all of this sounds still expensive, even though she's cutting out some bigger things. I didn't mention this, but we would have a much smaller party, like much smaller guest list. I'm thinking like the max would be 50, but realistically, right now, the list of people we have, it's like 35 to 40. And also just about everybody that we would be inviting lives in the state of Georgia. There's a couple of people who are overseas, but like the whole shuttle, that type of thing, like it's family, immediate family. So having to pay for shuttles and that type of thing would just be completely unnecessary. So yeah, we're not going to have like a hotel block, that type of thing. 180 is crazy to me. So see, that's just going, unless, I don't know if people know that many people, just like close friendships, family like that. I definitely don't. Sebastian definitely doesn't. And at that point, it's like the more people you have, the more expensive it costs, you know? So it's my thought process. All right, this one is from 2023, but it's a budget one, so I want to hear it.
Less than $5,000 on my dream wedding, and here's the breakdown. We got married at a beautiful Airbnb, which we booked for 2 nights, and that cost $1,200. My side of the family stayed there, so we got great use out of that. We found an amazing deal on our photographer, so we've only paid $1,200. She was amazing and so fun to work with. If you're looking for a photographer, her name on Instagram is Betsy and John Photo. Highly recommend. And since we got married at an Airbnb, we had to rent tables and chairs from a local rental place. So we paid $400 for those. And then my dress, jewelry, shapewear, shoes, all of that came out to about $300. All of my flowers were $200. I did Trader Joe's like DIY bud base flowers. And then for my bouquet, I actually hired a florist and she charged $150 for my bouquet. My cake was $100. We did pizza, salads, like lemonades. We had beer, a bunch of like sides and appetizers, and cheesecakes and cakes for about $500. And then the rest of the decor, like all of the plates, the silverware, the vases, the cups, all of that came out to about $400. So my total for the whole wedding was about $44.50, give or take. Those are all pretty much estimates, but that's right about what it was. I was super determined to do everything for like an affordable price. I didn't want to spend too much money. And I think I did a pretty good job at thrifting and finding affordable options. I do also want to note that we only had 30 people at our wedding. So that's how we was able to be such a low cost. So if you have a low budget, have a low guest count, and it will turn out beautiful. You want to know?
Obviously, this is great. This is a really low budget for a wedding. The only thing I see missing here is there's no like party with it, no DJ, nothing like that. From what I can tell, maybe they just had more of a quiet gathering. Somebody commented, how did you have 30 guests at the Airbnb? Every place I tried booking doesn't allow gatherings or celebrations. I just want a small 30-person wedding too. And she said, so only like 10 of them stayed at the house, but we got super lucky and our host was super accommodating. We promised the wedding wouldn't be loud. And so this was kind of the issue. I was looking at venues and also at like mansions in Atlanta that are party houses, because I think that would be really fun to have a house, like a really big house to where it can fit, 30, 40 people, but we can still have loud music. And it's hard to find anywhere that allows for, like, you have to have quiet time after 9 p.m., even on the weekends. And so I don't know exactly how that works, but I think that would be really cool instead of like a little venue or event hall. But this is pretty cool to see, much more realistic in my opinion of what's like doable for a lot of people without going into debt and really stressing about all of these things. And see, her dress and accessories, $300, and it looks like it's very beautiful, because I don't need anything extravagant. I'm the same, like I just would want a simple white dress, and I know I could find one for less than $200, and I don't need like a veil or that stuff. So yeah, very interesting. Very cool to see.
I finally calculated the total cost of my wedding, so let's do breakdown. For reference, I am a 2024 bride that got married in Quincy, Illinois. I'm going to run down the whole list in no specific order, so let's get started. My wedding dress, veil, shoes, and jewelry came to $2,300. For my husband's suit, he got a free suit rental, so his shoes, tie, and accessories cost $133. My beauty costs, which includes manicure, pedicure, hair, makeup, and my tanning for the month of, that came to $259. For our wedding bands, this included my band and his band. It was $2,643. For the stationery, that includes guest book, save the dates, and wedding invites, that came to $598. For a venue, this is the number one thing that I splurged on. It came to $6,815. This might not sound like a lot to some people depending on where you're located, but in my location it is at a higher price point than all the other venues. For our officiant and marriage license, it came to $375. Photography, which also included a second shooter, came to $2,700. Video came to $2,500. When it came to florals, it made me want to throw up thinking about throwing away all the flowers the next day with having nothing to do with them. So I tried to order the least amount of florals possible to $951. For our catering, we had barbecue, and that came to $3,164. For our cake, we had one small cake that we cut and then various desserts, and that came to $391. Bar and beverage, we purchased all of our own alcohol along with hiring our own bartenders, and that came to $1,895, which saved us a ton of money. The stationery, which includes save the dates, wedding invites, and the guest book, came to a little under $600. Entertainment, it was $1,125. Rentals and decor, we rented most of our decor from the venue, and that came to $1,770. Favors and gifts, this included the favors for our guests along with our bridal party, and that came to $1,200. Our hotel for the night of came to $155. I did include the honeymoon in our total wedding costs. Went to Mexico for 5 days, and it came to $8,500. This included airfare, accommodation, and some other activities that we did. So Our total cost breakdown came to $37,669.71. Some might say, I can't imagine spending that much money on a wedding, and some people will say, that is nothing compared to what I had to spend on mine. But this was the best day of our lives to date, and the day was absolutely perfect. So I am so thankful for every single thing that went into it.
Again, another one that's about 40K. I think a couple of them stationary anyway, I noticed she mentioned twice, so her number's a little bit skewed if that was included in there. But I think this sounds about average. She got a pretty good deal on the venue. I did find one venue that I would be really interested in, but it was $6,000 in and of itself. It's like a really nice one though, and I guess watching all of these, it makes me surprised now to see that, because I think that's actually a pretty good cost, but that's probably over budget for us, you know? Yeah, this is really eye-opening, and I like that people are breaking this down.
I got married in November and our wedding was $40,000. Even though I tried to make as many budget cuts as possible, here's what you need to know so you don't make the same mistake. Many people, when they see my videos about this, think that I'm lying or exaggerating or had spent a frivolous amount of money, and all these things are not true. It is important that you know I had a traditional wedding. We're talking venue, dinner, drinks, DJ, reception, all of those things. That is all considered part of a traditional wedding. Anything like a micro wedding or elopement or backyard wedding, destination wedding, those are all going to be different types of weddings. So there are ways to have cheaper weddings. It's important to understand that if you're having a traditional wedding, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for you to have.
As of 2024, the average cost of a traditional wedding in the US is $33K. This is a 14% increase from the previous year's average, which is $29K due to inflation and high demand. I'd imagine that 2025 is even higher. That's some good information. So you can just expect to spend about $35K, maybe $40K for 2025. And yes, so obviously what we would be doing is not a traditional wedding. I wouldn't even say it's a micro wedding. It's literally just a wedding party, a wedding celebration, marriage celebration.
A much lower cost wedding. Another thing I think a lot of people don't realize is I tracked every single dollar we spent. And one of the biggest reasons I ended up spending what I did was hidden costs. Let me paint a picture. You're going to an airline and you're going to buy a ticket. Tells you the ticket's price up front. You know there's probably going to be some taxes and maybe some stuff at the end, but you don't know how much that is until you get to the end and you've already went through all the process. And yeah, you could back out of the flight last minute, but you really need the flight anyways, so you go ahead and pay those extra fees. The difference between getting a flight and expecting these costs and a wedding is you only get married once for most people. This is not something that you're going to be prepared for unless someone tells you. I personally was never told. I don't find that a lot of wedding budget content on TikTok is helpful because many people will tell me they save money by having a friend make dinner for them, their aunt made them the wedding cake, and these are not feasible options for everyone. So they can't be reasons to shame other women who had to spend more money just because they didn't have those resources. I have to show you in another video what my actual cost breakdown was if you're interested in that. But I did create a wedding budget template. It's linked in my bio because if I would have been able to see these costs up front above 25K, now the average cost of weddings is $30,000. I think that's a little outdated and needs to.
It doesn't give a breakdown of hers, but we got some stats on there, so and some things to look out for, I guess.
Let's get ready and talk wedding updates and how much some of this is costing so far. Besides booking our venue, one of the first things we wanted to get out of the way was booking a photographer, so we did that basically right away. We are having a winter wedding, and the pro to that is a lot of vendors and things are slightly discounted because it's not peak season. We talked to a lot of photographers and it seemed like everything was around the $5,000, $6,000 mark. Photography is probably the most important thing to me out of the vendors that day. So we decided to go with one that was a little on the higher end but had more experience. The next thing we looked at is DJs. We found one we liked. We actually had a recommendation for one, so that was super helpful. Seems like a lot of DJs will charge around $4,000, but since we're in the off season and our DJ made it very clear he was not trying to screw us over, it's coming in around $2,000. So I'm very happy with that price.
A DJ, I did not realize a DJ was that expensive. I actually have a kind of friend, I know him through the gym, who is a DJ. So I was like, oh, I could ask him. I'm not going to do that anytime soon, but it's just like in the back of my mind. But I don't know how much it costs. And that sounds $4,000 or $2,000. Like, that's a lot of money.
That's getting us like the full day of DJ work. He'll do the ceremony and the reception. Something that was very important to me when choosing the DJ is that they weren't going to try to be the star of the show. I kind of want to have control over the music that is played and what's not played. And this guy seems really chill. We get to customize our entire day, and he just makes an entire schedule of what we want and when we want it to be played. Right now, we're working on flowers. We've talked to a couple of vendors, and then we have some meetings next week. Honestly, was not sure what to expect with the price of flowers. It pains me to spend any money on flowers just because they are basically good for the day. I know you can get some preserved and stuff, but it's painful. The vendors we looked at in their peak season charge a minimum of $15,000 for flowers, so that was spooky. It seems like after talking to a few more, you can keep it around $5,000, which is still a bit more than I was expecting, but like I said, I don't know much about flowers. We have been told that we can look into ordering in bulk on Costco and doing them ourselves, but that would require like setup and everything ourselves, so not sure yet. Also bought my dress. When I went in to look for my dress, I told her I wanted to keep it at like $2,000. I did go over that by a lot. Not a lot, but like, yeah. My dress should be here in June, they said. I'm excited. And that leaves me plenty of time to do alterations and everything. What else have we done? Save the dates were pretty affordable because we did them ourselves on Canva. I think with postage and printing, it came to like a little under $200. I think that's all for now though. I'm not going to share any of my vendors or anything until my wedding, but I will keep you guys updated.
Flowers, I know, are very expensive, and that's, if I were to do any sort of decor, I'd probably just try to DIY it since it's not like an actual wedding. And I would have flowers probably, but just go to like Trader Joe's and get a little bit. Yeah, I don't need like a whole flower arch or anything crazy.
I'm getting married in 2026 and my wedding will be under $15,000. And if you've planned a wedding anytime recently, or if you're currently planning, you're probably thinking to yourself, that's impossible. Well, it's not, and I'm going to share with you how we're doing it. I'm not going to claim that all of these are just life hacks because I know some of these are like oddly specific to us and like the people we know and the resources we have access to, but I still think it's fun and entertaining to see how other people budget and where they save money and where they splurge. So I'm going to share it with you guys anyways. First, really big area that we are saving money on is our venue. Instead of doing a traditional wedding venue, we are doing an Airbnb weekend wedding. We have found an Airbnb that is on 5 acres with 3 properties. It has a pool, tennis court, all kinds of fun stuff for only $6,500. Not only is this going to serve as our venue, but it's also going to serve as accommodations for all of our closest family and friends. And it's also going to serve as entertainment because there's so much fun stuff to do there. I'm actually confused why it's so cheap. I fear we may be robbing them. Second area that we're going to save a good chunk of money is on food. We will not be doing any type of like fancy catered in meal. For the actual wedding reception, we're torn between either just doing like a taco guy or like a fun food truck, which is going to save us a crap ton of money. I just watched a video the other day and the girl said that she got quoted $12,000 for their catered food. No. Obviously, because we are going to be hosting almost 30 people for an entire weekend, we are going to have to splurge a little bit more on feeding people throughout the entire weekend, but we're still going to keep things really simple. We're going to go to Costco. We're going to stock up on a bunch of stuff. The Airbnb has a really nice backyard and barbecue, and like we're just going to do it like really casual family style. Third thing, alcohol. We do plan on it being kind of like all you can drink, open bar essentially. But we're going to save a little bit of money by not hiring a bartender. We're just going to set up a really cool like bar table with like bunch of mixers, all the liquor. People can kind of like mix and match, make their own drinks. Another cool thing that just happened is that my brother actually just got a job at a brewery and he gets so much free beer every single month. It's actually absurd. So I told him, hey, like 4 months before the wedding, you're gonna start stockpiling that for us, and that's gonna be our beer for the wedding. If he's not able to save enough, he also gets 50% off. So in terms of beer, we're gonna get a very good deal, and then the liquor we will just get from Costco. In terms of florals, my fiance's aunt loves to garden and grow veggies and fruits and different plants and everything. Like she loves it. She actually offered to try and grow some flowers for our wedding. She has to look into like what's going to be in season and what she can grow, but even if that's just my bouquet, even if that's just flowers we put on the table, like I will literally take anything we can get for free. In terms of decor, I am trying to buy absolutely everything secondhand. I feel like kind of like the theme and vibe we're going for is going to be really easy to find things secondhand. I'll put a photo of like what I want the tables to look like. I feel like it plays in our favor that like I love like mismatching like vases and different sizes, different colors. I feel like I'll be able to find stuff at Goodwill Also, if you're planning a wedding, you probably know a lot of brides post all of their old wedding decor on Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, and there's some really, really good deals on there. I also might change my mind on this, but at the moment, I really don't care about like the ultra personalized things. I'm trying to only buy things that we can resell or reuse. I do have a couple of like really big picture frames if we do want to print something out that like says our name or says like welcome to our reception and the date. But in terms of like big banners or other things that are like monogrammed, I'm like really trying to stay away from that so that we can resell stuff or just repurpose it. And lastly, for my dress, my mom has very generously offered to pay for my dress up to $2,000. So I'm still trying to find a dress as cheap as possible because she said if I don't hit $2,000, I can keep that money and use it elsewhere. Unfortunately, I have fallen in love with a $2,000 dress from Anthropologie, but still I'm looking at sample sales. I'm looking at like more affordable options, and I'm also not like dead set on buying a super expensive dress. If I can find like a really beautiful $500 dress, sign me up. All right, that is everything. I am not naive. I do know random expenses come up all the time with wedding planning, but I'm hoping I can come back to this video one day and say yes, in fact, we were able to keep it under $15,000. I'm getting
Pretty good breakdown. I think if she were willing, I think things are gonna pop up for her that end up getting her over 15K. So an area she could save is probably the wedding dress to get that, to make up for that. That's my thought. Okay, let's just do one more.
Here are some tips on how we kept our wedding under $10,000. For starters, as Aussie Bridal, do not spend thousands and thousands of dollars on your dress. You're only gonna wear it for one night. Next thing, do not get married at a super, super expensive venue. And not only is it the venue, but you'll have to pay for all the other things like equipment, the catering. Don't do it. Find a backyard, find a regional park. So first of all, sign up for Amazon Prime. You can get literally your whole wedding on one Amazon order. And also, you can return stuff. Next thing, if you have 100 people coming to your wedding, account for 80 people to eat because not everybody is going to eat. This also might sound selfish, but when it comes to your equipment, you don't need to get a seat for every single person to sit down because not everybody's going to be sitting down the whole time. So if you have 100 people, maybe get 80 chairs, because I didn't have a formal dinner. I did more of a buffet style. So that's why. But buy your wedding gifts in bulk. Don't go to Target and buy 100 of one thing. Go on Amazon, Temu, Alibaba, wherever. Get something in bulk that's super cheap, super easy, make it look cute. Anyway, if you're watching this video, you're probably super stressed out and I wish you the best of luck. And
yeah, some good tips in there. There's some things I would, if I were to just get 20 less chair, a few less chairs than the number of guests, I would be afraid that some people may not be able to sit. Or I kind of like the idea of the assigned seats or, having people sit in specific spots just to make it more comfortable for everybody. So I don't know that I would do that, but I think, yeah, some of these are some pretty good tips. So I want to do one more who actually shares their breakdown.
We only spent $4,000 on our wedding, and here are my top tips. Number one, keep your guest list small. We only had about 40 people. We invited immediate family, friends, and it is hard to not invite some people, but they will understand. Number two, try to find a free venue. I know this isn't possible for everyone, but if you have someone with a backyard in your life, that's what we did. Backyard weddings are so cute and quaint. Number three, don't splurge on a dress. I know this is probably controversial, but I spent $500 on my dress. I loved it. I felt beautiful, and I did not want to be spending $5,000 on a one-day outfit. Number four, DIY your food and drink. We just had a backyard barbecue. You could also do a potluck. That would be a really good idea. Get people to bring salads and everything. We bought all of our drinks and did a whole open bar situation too. Spend $4,000.
I don't think potluck is a good idea for a wedding. I think that's a little strange, personally. No offense to anybody who's ever done that, but yeah. Okay, if I can't, let me see.
We just got married on Saturday for less than $3,500. So let's break down the cost. We did our wedding at home, so that made the venue free. For catering, we used Roosters, and that was $1,291.50. We did our own fruit and veggie trays from Aldi's for $107.90. I cannot recommend fruit and veggies from Aldi's enough. We filled our fridge with beer, margarita cans, White Claws, seltzers. And we also had 4 coolers of water bottles and 4 different kinds of pops. So on the alcohol pop and water
together, we spent $297.46. We rented 2 10 by 20 tents, 8 tables, chairs. On those rentals, we spent $596.15. And then for little centerpieces, trays, and the cupcake stand, I got those on Amazon for $89. Just a mason jar with some twinkle lights and flowers inside. So my dress was $179, and Brandon's outfit from Express was $158. Kaylee already had her dress, so that didn't cost us anything. And Austin and Brody's outfits were from Old Navy, and those were $77. Now, our photographer who took all these wonderful pictures for us was $330. Bonus, but I cannot recommend this enough. If you have a wedding at your own house, hire cleaning people for the next day. That was $210. And Brandon's mom made 3 pans of mac and cheese. And then my mom, my stepmom, and Brandon's mom also made cookies and cupcakes. So that didn't cost us anything. For music, I had a really big speaker and I just had a playlist. So that just played all night. And then because Roosters did forget the cheese for the cheeseburgers and the pickles, we got a $120 refund, bringing our grand total for essentially everything other than our wedding band to $3,214.01. I'm gonna ask how much you guys spent on your wedding, even though it's probably going to pain me, because at the end of the day, if you spend 50 grand on your wedding, I spent 3,200 on mine. We both ended up married, and we both probably had the same amount of fun.
So there you go. That's a very small wedding budget. Sounds like it was very intimate. Obviously she had a big enough house and like yard to do all of that, and not everybody has that. And also, if you don't want to disturb the peace with your music, then I think it makes it difficult when it's just like in your house. I'm gonna stop it there. Personally, for me, the party aspect of it is really important. Like having the fun music because I've always said, like, I just want my playlist, all these different songs. It would never happen aside from my wedding or party specific to me, where it's like different genres, different years, music from the 90s, music from now. And yeah, the different genres, it just would never happen unless it's something for me. And I've always wanted that. So, and yeah, I don't want to have to worry about any sound issues. So yeah, this was all really interesting. There are so many TikToks and even YouTube videos and shorts, the different people talking about how much they spent on their wedding, the breakdown. I really appreciate the transparency around that. So if you want to comment sharing any of that, I would love to hear it. I think it'd be super helpful. I will absolutely document what I spend if we do the wedding party, which at this point, I believe we will. But that's not until, I don't know, later next year, potentially even going into 2027. But I honestly just no idea. This is all very new. We got engaged just 2-3 weeks ago. So just gonna slowly figure it out. And I'm hoping we can stick to a party under 8K. So I'll keep you posted. But thank y'all so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one.